So, do you still, with friends, are you still doing that? Going to the parks or the beaches or what have you to
Yeah,
collect?
we'll table a couple of ideas for the year. We'll pick a particular a park, beach, or project. Um, I have a couple of ideas right now that we're working with, and I don't want to say it right now, but we do have some things in the works that we'll definitely be embarking on this year and next year, and we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be super cool.
What kind of material or materials would you say you, during that campaign cleanup, you stumble up on mostly? Like what folks are discarding of, you know?
The biggest thing is the water bottles and soda cans, and those are the biggest items. The cups, the straws. It's all of those items, and and that's the hard part too, because it doesn't have to be thrown and discarded.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there and a lot of the parks and places, parks and beaches in these areas, they always have receptacle containers, and they make it very easy for people to throw items, and in a way that could be collected. And that's what's disheartening for me as a person that likes to be outdoors. If you're canoeing and then you see water bottles or cups and stuff in the environment, and it's just a shame because it's such a fragile ecosystem. Obviously, it could be badly disrupted, and that's what we're seeing now with all of the things that are happening. And the one, I used to go to there's a park, Arthur Marshall Park, which is part of the Loxahatchee Wildlife Preserve in South Florida. And I used to go there quite a bit. They have a 5-mile canoe route out there, and I would canoe out there in the morning. I would even drag a couple of my brave friends out there because it was alligators all over the place. But I would go out to this park, and prior to the pandemic, not much wildlife. But one of the most amazing things I saw was after, as we were probably in the midst of the pandemic, I never saw so much wildlife out and about,
Right.
And that little pause that we had there for a little bit, it was definitely notable that, wildlife and things kind of got a little breathing, space for a chance. But,
This was during the COVID period.
Yeah, during the COVID
That's
period.
interesting to learn.
But then it was a catch-22, because also during that period, a lot of places were locked down, and then people then started going to the beaches and parks because they were the only areas that they could gather or go to at the time, or frequent them more than before.
Right.
And then that's when I saw a huge rise in discarded materials and items, and people just leaving trash and whatnot about. And I think a lot of public parks and beaches were really overwhelmed, and then obviously with the storms and the hurricanes and stuff it didn't help things either. But the biggest thing is just people littering.
Yes.
And I'll probably age myself here. When I was a kid, I'll never forget the commercials with the Native American Indian and looking out and seeing all the smog, and that was really touching as a kid, not to litter, the big litter campaigns.
Right.
And as a young person seeing that, and then you see it today and how people just literally throw garbage right out of their window, right onto the highway, and you drive these streets and you see all of this, it's just garbage, and there's just no need whatsoever to throw anything out a window or be at a beach or a park and just leave garbage behind. I just find it so bad, and I don't think folks really understand the gravity of the impact that it is having on the environment. So I love doing these projects because my goal in doing this was to help educate people, especially the younger generation. The younger generation really loves the art, and they seem to get a kick out of it. And I love, I did an event at Harbor Branch and Jupiter at FAU, and they had a bunch of kids there, and it was really good to see the younger people really get it and really understand the importance of it. And I think the younger generation gets it more than the older generation does, and it's really heartening to see. But there's still far more that we could be doing to keep plastics and these other materials out of the environment. And
you were talking there, and I'm kind of this came into my head, which is kind of interesting, that these spaces that you frequented, how interesting it would be to see like there is a disposable kind of a bin or what have you that says Tony's recyclable. So it's almost like because it's almost like because you are on this educational journey. It's and you're trying to get people to understand that littering is really a major culprit towards, because as you mentioned, the wildlife being out and about, and to some extent it could be because of the level of littering that has stopped during the COVID period. So these wildlife, were able to at least not stumble over a can or bottle or, be nibbling on it or what have you. It just came to my mind that it's interesting as you were speaking, because the work you are doing it's really incredible work to take all of these items and design and create all of this wonderful stuff, and I'm certain that you've also started developing a community with people at these stores you go to buy these paintings or these paint, so that you could, because I know you mentioned about the economy side of it, being able to spend this large amount of money to create art, and trying to find paint that you could use that these stores may not have any interest in. Tell us about how you were able to develop any kind of interactions with folks, and which store do you have a little more ease with interacting with to find paint?
Well, the obviously the two big ones, Lowe's and Home Depot.
Right.
Obviously, I'm a homeowner, so spend a lot of time at Lowe's and Home Depot. And might as well just take your paycheck, go down there on Saturday and Sunday and give it to them.
Yeah.
And
here you go.
But so going there a lot and seeing them. Yeah, it was so funny because one time when I went in there and I bought everything that was on this shelf, because it was like I said, it was like 50 cents, and I literally just dumped everything into the shopping cart. So the guy behind the paint thing says, "What are you using any of that for?" So I told him, I said, "I'm using it to make artwork out of." And he goes, "Well, there's some pretty interesting colors there." I said, "Exactly." So, so I frequent there most of the time. I came really friendly with them. And especially if I was doing a big project or something, I would always go in there and talk to the manager. And the managers were sometimes, I'll never forget, when as I mentioned, we were doing the big pig. I told them what we were doing, the pig project, which was this big pig that we sculpted. It's huge. And the store owner really, took an interest in the project. And he was like, "Look, we got some discarded material. We're going to end up throwing this out anyways. We'll just give it to you."
Oh, that's
and
nice.
I was like, "All right, yeah, that's awesome, And then unfortunately we never got around to doing it, but some of the stores they host little things where they teach the kids to build, certain items and things. So we were trying to get to do something where we can make something like out of discarded bottles, like a birdhouse or something like that. But unfortunately, it never took off. But yes, I partnered with them on several occasions. Got very friendly with the manager or the person in the paint shop, and it is all of us, I think, can attest to this. You know, we frequent the same home improvement store
Yes.
every Saturday
Yes.
and Sunday.
Of course.
They get to know you.
Yes.
And but I just have fun working. Like I said, it's just neat, and it's also like it's a surprise. You know, if you go to one of those little counters where they do have this discarded material there, again, you have no idea what's going to be there.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
It could be purple, blue. It could be some wild caulking, some crazy spray paint that somebody left behind. So honestly, that therein lies again
Another
challenge and
Mm-hmm.
another thing. You're like, okay, I could do something with these crazy colors, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so yeah.
You talked about the pig. What sparked that idea to do this?
So yeah, we wanted to do a campaign to bring awareness to saving. So we got away from the environment part. The other side was to make saving money for emergency purposes. And so my wife came up with the idea of making, and she literally went like this, making a little piggy bank.
Right.
So I said, okay, no problem.
Right.
But my brain
Yeah.
kind of did not see the smaller
Yeah.
scale version of that.
Right.
And so I had a bunch of, what it was a bunch of discarded paper wrappings, chicken wire, and plastic bag-like material. And so I used the chicken wire, started sculpting it up, and just wrapping it like a giant paper mache. And then I coated it with a bonding material because we came across a case of discarded Bondo. And then a small little pig became a 6 foot, 5 foot giant pig the size of a Volkswagen. And so then the pig project took on from there. And yeah, as you can see from a lot of the artwork, I have a hard time doing small.
So what did your wife say when she saw this child?
Yeah, she, God bless her. I mean, I love her to death. She could put up with me, so she definitely deserved a lot of credit for
Right.
a lot of the things here. So, I don't think most women would have stuck around with, would have gone in the garage and saw a 6 foot pig. She would have been like, you know what, I think I'm out of here, But, I'm married to a wonderful woman and very supportive. And I wouldn't be in this chair today if it wasn't for her. And we built a great business together, which we're very proud of. And she's always been very supportive of my extracurricular activities and the things that I do. And it's great. It's wonderful when you have something like that.
Do you have any kind of, little back and forth, seeing that you are both in a business together, where
Oh, we're oil and water.
she might be saying, Tony, you might need to stop doing this and come back to work.
Well, first rule is the word yes.
Right.
Second rule, you are right. Okay. So as long as you got those two things down pat, rest of
Yes.
What makes us great is she is literally the exact opposite of me. And she's very analytical. She looks at things from a different angle. I look at it too. She really does help me out, even with my artwork. I sometimes am bad at the filter process, so she's very good at like toning it down or making me look at something in a different way.
Okay.
And even with business, like that's what has made us work so well together. We just complement each other.
Good.
And we understand our. We're none of us are perfect. We each have our faults, and of course, in her defense, I have a lot of them, and so we work really well together in that regard. So it's a collab. We've always. That's what I think we've enjoyed the most about each other. It's just always been a collaborative effort.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I can't speak enough about her. She's just a wonderful woman, and I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for her.
So you are moving back and forth. Have you done any educational workshops at schools about the
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we at Gumbo Limbo in Boca Raton, we did a little educational workshop where it was interactive, where I started a couple of the 3D artwork, and then we had the kids come in and we had all of the items laid out, and the kids actually glued the items on the painting, and we actually gave the paintings to Luna, the mascot, and the Gumbo Limbo organization for sponsoring that event that day.
That's beautiful.
FAU, Harbor Branch, Boca Raton, they did a conservation piece up there, and I brought the flamingo, talked to a group of students, about obviously plastics in the environment. It's great stuff. Like I said, we love the educational part. We love interacting. I'm a big kid myself, so to hang out with the kids is always a blast, and especially to help them, or to teach them something about the environment and the materials. It's always a great thing. So we enjoy that quite a bit.
So you are based right now in, is it Gainesville?
Yes, I have a residence in Gainesville. I also, Boca Raton, I have a business in Boca. I travel back and forth. My niece is attending UF. And during the pandemic and everything, it was kind of a spooky time, I think, for all of us. We can all attest to that. So we weren't too sure what was going to happen. So I purchased a place up there just in case things went crazy. We ended up falling in love with the Northern Florida area, beautiful area. Stark contrast from South Florida. And just love all the simple, quiet, open spaces and the beauty.
Yes.
I lived in South Florida my entire life.
Right.
And anyone could attest that when you live in an area, and so many years go by, just things spring up around you.
Yes.
Yes. The population has grown exponentially in South Florida, and so to come up this way is very refreshing.
Yeah.
The people are tremendously nice and friendly. It's so much different than in South Florida, and I really like just kind of like the old school vibe and the down to earth.
Yeah.
I can't quite put my finger on it, but it just feels so nice, and I really love the area. So that's why we ended up keeping the house up there. So we go back and forth, and just love the area.
So most of your artwork and stuff where you operate from is in Gainesville?
Yes, sir.
Okay, beautiful. Well, I know at some point you mentioned to me actually before your first showing that you were going to show your artwork, but because of COVID, that couldn't happen.
Yeah, well, a lot of artists, could say the same thing. COVID really, negatively impacted the art community.
Yes.
A lot of artists couldn't show their work, museums, everybody was shutting down. And it was just a tough time, I think, for everybody.
So where were you going to show, or what happened? How did that arrangement unfold?
Well, I did a piece for World Oceans Day. And there was a museum in Miami that wanted to feature the work, and then I was pretty excited about that. It was going to be really awesome, and then boom, COVID happened, and everything got scrapped.
Oh boy.
And so any artist could attest to that. You get excited, to show your stuff, and
yes.
Miami is a great place for the art community. I love the vibe in Miami when it comes to art. We have Wynwood. We go to Art Basel every year, and it's a great experience. And to see so many different artists and from all over the world, it's just an incredible experience. And but yes, the COVID really, and I felt bad because I'm friendly with a lot of artists, and a lot of them, they depend on selling their artwork, and it was hard for them. They couldn't sell their artwork, they couldn't go out there, they couldn't do anything. So artists really took a hit during the pandemic, and I felt bad, and it was just tough for everybody during that time.
So you are in Gainesville.
Yes, sir.
And your art is displayed in Ocala.
Yes, sir.
So tell us about that transaction. How did that happen? In terms of who did you meet, or?
Well, so again, we love the art in public places program.
Right.
In fact, in Boca Raton, I was actually on the board of Art in Public Places for the city of Boca.
Okay.
I know what goes into those programs, and again, it was great to support local artists.
Right.
And so when in Alachua, I forgot how it came about. We saw something either on TV, or I think it was on TV, that they were doing an art in public places. And so I contacted them from Alachua, and they wanted the flamingo in a painting I did, and that was featured in the commission's chamber in Alachua, and that was really awesome. And then my wife, I believe, saw the same thing from Ocala.
Okay.
And then I reached out to Miss Emily and got back and forth paperwork and stuff, and then they agreed, and we wanted to feature art. I like featuring the art in public places, in programs, in settings like this. It's, again, it just puts art in a place that most people don't go and visit art museums.
Right.
Or even get exposed to it.
Yeah.
So when you do something in a city setting or in municipalities like this, it's really great because people that normally don't get to see this type of stuff get to see it.
So they have access.
Yeah, they have access to it. So to me, that's the fun part of it. Yeah, the museums are great and everything, but not everybody goes to a museum.
Yes.
And it just gives a chance for anybody and anyone to come and see the art, and it just has in my opinion, just more of a meaningful impact. My opinion, but so that's how that came about.
So how many pieces have you displayed at the Ocala?
So it was 20 pieces.
20 pieces, okay.
And it was 20 pieces of art, and we got a couple over in the senior center, which is just adjacent to the Parks and Recreation Administration building.
Right.
And Miss Emily did a wonderful job in the layout. I mean, she put together this schematic, and it was just really cool because, I mean, it's one thing to do the art and everything and you see them, but to arrange them in a manner which, looks wonderful. Like I said, the layout and everything she did, it was just absolutely amazing. And it was great working with her and her assistant Willow, and we had a lot of fun for the afternoon, and it was just really good stuff. Everywhere it came around, Ocala, Alachua, I can't say enough about the people. Everyone has been super, super nice, most friendly people I've met in a very long time, and it has made the entire process very enjoyable and very rewarding.
Well, like I said to you all up front, this is the time where, the one and only Miss Display, Emily Parkman, is going to tell us about the interaction she had with Albert.
Yes.
Tony.
Yes.
And we would learn some more about Emily and, her side of what she contributes here in Ocala. And so stay tuned for the next episode to meet Emily.
Thank you very much, sir.
Pleasure.
Pleasure all mine.